Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Just give me a minute. Huh? Yesterday we were doing the three kinds of reality: Paramarthika Satya, Vyavaharika Satya, and Pratibhasika Satya. And now we'll see the relationship between the three orders of reality. It is evident that we create our own subjective realities, and it is also evident that we are dealing with a world which conforms to an order, which behaves in an orderly way. Thus, we have a cosmos which is empirical, a chaos which is subjective, and that which is constant, Satchit Ananda Atma. This Satchit Ananda Atma seems to exist in the form of a threefold reality. For lack of a better term, we use this term, that is, the threefold reality. In fact, there is only one reality, Satya Jnana Ananta Brahma. The relationship among the three orders of reality. Between the empirical reality and the subjective reality, there is a difference. The entire creation, empirical reality, is called Ishvara Srishti, the Lord's creation. And the projection of one's own mind is called Jiva Srishti, the individual subjective creation. At all times, we are confronting these two orders of reality, the empirical and the subjective, on the basis of the one absolute reality, Satya Jnana Ananta Brahma. I'll repeat this one more time. Between the empirical reality and the subjective reality, there is a difference. The entire creation, empirical reality, is called Ishvara Srishti, the Lord's creation. And the projection of one's own mind is called Jiva Srishti, the individual subjective creation. At all times, we are confronting these two orders of reality, the empirical and the subjective, on the basis of the one absolute reality, Satya Jnana Ananta Brahma. So one is cosmos and the other is chaos. Chaos is our subjective reality, our own projections of how we perceive the world. Whereas cosmos is Ishvara Srishti, which goes on based on the laws. And it has its own rhythm, own pattern. With this understanding of the orders of reality, let us return to the verse. Krishna says, I am born wielding the Maya, the Prakriti, in my hands. In this way, I assume a body. Because the Lord can create the whole world and also assume a body, there is no problem in seeing that Krishna's birth is referred to here as an incarnation of Ishvara based on the concept of avatara, avatarvada. But the next question would be, to which order of reality does the physical body that the Lord assumes belong? When Krishna points out that he is unborn, never born, he is pointing out the absolute reality, Paramarthika Satya. In fact, from the standpoint of absolute reality, no one is born. Thus, from this standpoint, Krishna is not born, and Mr. Krishna, who is standing before Arjuna, cannot be that Paramarthika Satya. It must be kept in mind here that we are not talking about Krishna who is Paramatma, but we are talking about Mr. Krishna who was born in prison, who had a body, who wore a yellow piece of cloth, who played a flute, and who, seated in Arjuna's chariot, was holding the reins of the horses in his hands. Is this Krishna who was teaching Arjuna Paramarthika? No, he is not, because his body is not Paramarthika. Surely then we can say that Krishna's body is empirically real, Vyavaharika. But if it were to be taken as empirically real, would Krishna not have been born of his own karma? And therefore, would he not also be a samsari like Arjuna? And if he were born of his own karma, punya and papa would be there for him, along with dharma and adharma, doership and enjoyership. If he were bound by karma, where would be the possibility of his wielding the Maya? In order for his birth to be considered empirical, Krishna had to have been under the spell of karma, meaning that without his volition, his birth would have been determined by the very laws. Only then can his birth be considered to be empirical, that of Arjuna. So this Avatara Vada is, what is it? It is saying Krishna's birth, that is Mr. Krishna, was born in the prison to Devaki and Vasudeva, is neither Paramarthika nor Vyavaharika. That is the Avatara Vada. Because if it's Paramarthika Satya, he is not born at all. Because Satya Jnana Ananta Brahma is what is. There is no birth, no death. And if he was Vyavaharika Satya, then he must be under the spell of karma. But he says he is wielding his own Maya. He has as though come into the body. So he is Maya Pati. He is not Maya Dasa, unlike a Jiva. So we'll see how the empirical reality of a Jiva's birth. Anybody wants to say anything?
No, no, you continue.
The empirical reality of a Jiva's birth. Arjuna, being a Jiva, was born of karma. Even though he was born a prince, he had to go to the forest for 12 years and then live incognito for 1 year, all of which could be attributed to his past. The destiny of Arjuna's eldest brother, Dharmaputra, was also controlled by his own punya and papa. Because of his papa, he lost the kingdom. Otherwise, the dice would have rolled out differently, or he would not have thrown them at all. Some prarabdha karma was there for him. The Shastra itself talks about this kind of karma. Arjuna was a person, a jiva born of karma, and therefore his birth, janma, was empirically real. He had a parentage and a physical body, mind, and senses, all of which have an empirical reality, as we have seen. Krishna, on the other hand, said that as Ishvara, keeping the Maya under his control, he is born. We will see later why he was born. The reality of Krishna's birth. So, the birth of Arjuna is that of a jiva, which is Vyavaharika Satya. He is born of karma. And that is why his life was governed by the laws of karma. He had to go, though he was a prince, he had to go into exile. Same with his own older brother, Yudhishthira. It was his prarabdha karma that he accepted to play the game of dice. And having accepted, when the dice rolled out, it happened that he lost the game of dice and therefore the kingdom as well. So all this was prarabdha karma. So they were all bundled up in the Vyavaharika Satya, and they had to go through their punya papa and therefore their karma. But Krishna was unlike this. He was born wielding his own Maya, was as though born. The reality of Krishna's birth. The body of anyone who is born is available for our perception. But what is available for our perception is not always totally true. The blue sky, for example, or a magician's tricks. Therefore, perception itself cannot establish the empirical reality of Krishna's birth. If, as Ishvara, Krishna is born, keeping the Maya under his control, his birth is definitely not subject to any punya or papa. Therefore, being not bound by karma, it has no empirical status. Birth itself, being what it is, cannot be paramarthika either. Nor can Krishna's birth be totally non-existent, atyanta asat, since he was not a Bandhya Putra, the son of a barren woman. He was born of Devaki and Vasudeva. Thus, it was not a totally non-existent Krishna who was talking to Arjuna. Then how are we to explain Krishna's birth in terms of reality? With reference to his birth, Krishna is pratibhasika. I repeat this. Then, with reference to Krishna's birth, Krishna is pratibhasika. And what is pratibhasika? It is jiva shrishti. It is subjective reality. You see him and therefore he is. His birth is not due to karma. He is only apparent. Pratibhasika means that there was a Krishna whom everyone saw. But his birth and his body were purely Maya. Like everything else, they were born of Maya, but without the force of the law of karma. This kind of birth means that Ishvara is not condemned to the state of jivatva. He merely assumes a particular body due to a certain necessity alone. So I repeat this last paragraph. So, how are we to explain Krishna's birth in terms of reality? It is neither paramarthika nor vyavahari. With reference to his birth, Krishna is pratibhasika. You see him and therefore he is. His birth is not due to karma. It is only apparent. Pratibhasika means that there was a Krishna whom everyone saw, but his birth and his body were purely Maya.
Jai Gurudev, then it is Vyavaharika, right? Because everyone saw, not just one individual saw him.
Yeah. So we'll see further. See, you see him, therefore he is. I think we will have to read a little further for us to understand this. Pratibhasika means that there was a Krishna whom everyone saw, but his birth and his body were purely Maya. Like everything else, they were born of Maya, but without the force of the law of karma. See, that is the distinction between Vyavaharika and this Krishna's birth. Krishna's birth is an avatara, right? So this is the avatara vada.
That is paramarthik or pratibhasik.
It is not paramarthik. It is
Pratibhasik.
pratibhasik, right?
But there is no Maya. So then it is the paramarthik also. Okay, we continue.
So like everything else, they were born of Maya, but they're talking of what? His body and his birth. They were purely Maya, but without the force of the law of karma. This kind of birth means that Ishvara is not condemned to the state of jivatva, which means he does not come under the cycle of punya and papa, of karma, dharma. He merely assumes a particular body due to a certain necessity alone. We'll read this further and maybe we'll understand. I know it does seem a little abstract and difficult to grasp right now. Let's just go further and read. Why does Ishvara assume a physical body? And what is it that makes it necessary for the Lord to assume a physical body? In the Puranas, it is said that before every incarnation, there is a collective petition to the Lord in the form of prayers on the part of all the good people and even the Devas. Oh Lord, please do something. Please come and remedy this situation. It is time. Time is up. In fact, why haven't you come? The tyranny of these people is too much for us to bear, etc. These were prayers themselves. These very prayers themselves become the material cause, the upadana karana, for the Lord to introduce himself in a particular form, meaning that he assumes a body. So what is the material cause? What is the material cause for a jiva in the Vyavaharika Satya of the whole cosmos in the world? Is his own karma. That is the upadana karana. Whereas for Krishna, for an avatara, it is the sum total of the prayers of the devotees. So there is no karma involved here. The prayers of the jivas become the punya because of which a particular body is born for a given purpose. This incarnation of the Lord is what is meant by avatara. The purpose of the avatara's coming may be just to do one job, like Narasimha Avatara or Vamana Avatara, or to do many, as was the case with Rama and Krishna. In addition to the many jobs they came to do, Rama and Krishna also served as examples with reference to how people should live their lives. Rama exemplified how one can live a life of dharma in the face of all adversity, and Krishna was an embodiment of joy and wisdom. It should be clearly understood that the concept of avatara is not required at all in order to worship Krishna as the Lord. A picture of Krishna as Ishvara is all that is needed for invoking the Lord. In fact, we can invoke the Lord in anything, even a rock. Invoking the Lord in a particular form and the concept of avatara are entirely different. We discuss it here only because the verse is referring to Krishna as avatara. Krishna himself says, by my own powers of Maya, I as though assume a body. Shankara says in his commentary to this verse, while explaining how Ishvara assumes a body, Dehavan iva, Jatah iva, as though with the body, as though born. The word iva, as though, in Shankara's commentary indicates that there can be no empiricality here because Krishna's birth was not out of punya and papa. See, this is like the answer to the question we had before. So, Shankara says, while explaining how Ishvara assumes the body, Dehavan iva, Jatah iva, as though with the body, as though born. The word iva, as though, in Shankara's commentary indicates that there can be no empiricality here because Krishna's birth was not out of punya and papa. If there were punya and papa for Ishvara, then he would not be Ishvara at all. Therefore, when Ishvara assumes a body, he is only as though born. He has a body, but his body has no empiricality because it was not born out of punya and papa. If there were punya and papa for Ishvara, we would have the problem of an Ishvara with limitations, with reference to the antakarana, which is not acceptable. And as we have seen, that is not possible because Ishvara is all knowledge. Therefore, Krishna tells Arjuna here, without punya and papa, I am born, which is the very concept of avatara. In the next verse, Krishna explains why as Ishvara he assumes a body. So how he assumes a body? How it is, number one, it is as though. It is neither Vyavaharika nor Paramarthika Satya. Krishna's birth is Pratibhasika. And he is born out of the sum total of all the prayers of the devotees. That becomes the material cause for his birth. It is not his punya papa. Let me know if you want me to read this one more time.
Although it is not his own punya, we read somewhere, right? It is punya of other people's punya. He is born.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. The prayers of the jivas become the punya because of which a particular body is born for a given purpose.
Is it written there? There was no limitations for him then.
Yeah. See, if he had his own punya, then he would have a limited antakarana, which is not true, correct? So, see, like now, how Tattva Bodh and Tattva Bodh, how the Shastra Vedanta has brought in the concept of Maya to explain the whole Jiva, whole Jagat, right? How to explain the whole creation. The concept of Maya is brought in order for us to understand Krishna's birth and his existence. This Avatara Vada is brought in, which slots him in a different space altogether. It is neither Vyavaharika nor Pratibhasika. If it was Vyavaharika, he would be no different from a Jiva. He would be given Jivatva. Then he would not be considered Ishvara, but he himself, Bhagwan himself says, Mama Maya, I've come into being from my own powers of Maya, wielding my Maya. So he is, of course, Paramarthika, but his birth is this physical form, born to Devaki Vasudeva, is as though it is neither Vyavaharika nor Paramarthika. It is Pratibhasika. It is for all of us who see Krishna. Now, I'm not sure whether what I'm saying is the right way to understand this, how Krishna is Pratibhasika and everyone sees him. It is only for those who, but then all seen, unseen also comes under Vyavaharika. And I was just trying to put in the fact that only those who know about him would see him. Those who do not know Krishna's existence don't see him. So that way, probably it is Pratibhasika. So there is some subjectivity. You need to see Krishna as
Madam.
And then how would we explain about his ups and downs in his life also? Like we normally in Bhagavatam we say because he did this, uh,
it
his
was
death
not
was
for
like
him.
that.
It was
No,
not for him. It was other people, they had their curses and that had to be redeemed. So it was as though he went through those difficulties, but he was joyful throughout all of that. He did not go through pain and pleasure. He was complete, total embodiment of joy and wisdom. He is a Purna Avatara with all the 16 kalas, it is said that Rama is not a complete avatara because he did not know his true nature, whereas Krishna was a complete avatara. See, if he had to redeem Putana, that is why he as though went through that trouble. But the moment Putana breastfed him, she got redeemed. Same thing with those two trees. Then he was tied up to the motor. So it was their punya
What
papa.
about Rama, Dr. Brahma? You said he did also is an avatara, right?
He is an avatara, but they
Mm.
say between Rama and Krishna,
Mm.
Rama did not actually know he was the Lord.
Right. Mm.
He lived like a normal human being.
Normal human being, right? Mm.
He was an
Yeah.
avatara, right? But
Yeah.
his example served as to how to be dharma. That is why Rama is dharma putra. I mean, as in he is an embodiment of dharma. Whereas Krishna is complete in the sense joy and wisdom together. So
but
it is
not
not so much that Krishna had to go through pain and see, even in the last, when Krishna loses the physical body
the
as
karma.
though
Yeah,
it was the karma, it was the curse that had to be completed. That curse was what, with that musala, that the rod with which the little young Yadava boys,
mm,
they make fun of a sage who is saying they make fun of him saying he's pregnant,
mm,
right? So that
correct.
sage curses them. He says, the same musala you will be that will be the what is that? The cause of your destruction.
Correct. But
And then
do we not go through the same thing? I mean, may not be Krishna inside him, but his body had to go through the same thing what we have to go through. And when the troubles we create for others is again like a curse, we are redeeming the curse what
Just
people
as
have
though
had.
body, right?
It's
As though body.
karma,
Mm.
karma given. I mean, we create some trouble for others because they have to redeem something.
What
yeah,
if
see that
his
way
actions were?
karma is very complicated. How we do? We have, see, Krishna in the form as though in this body has those three Shaktis in absolute measure. Jnana Shakti, Icha Shakti and Kriya Shakti. We as Jivas, we have the same, but it is um, colored by our own subjective projections of the world, our own likes and dislikes. And our jnana is limited. That is why, see, if you compare Krishna and Arjuna, for example, they are the embodiments of Ishvara and Jiva right in front of us. Why is Arjuna having all these questions? Is because he's not understanding. He's not able to comprehend how Krishna, being his contemporary, says he is taught this knowledge to Vivaswan, Manu and Vivaswan and all of them. Therefore, Krishna tells him, both of us have had many births. The only difference is I know my births. You do not know. And then he goes on to say, I have come down as an avatara because my birth is as though it is not um, it is not that Ishvara is born. There is no birth. The whole of second chapter, Krishna went on to say, Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. So he could not be contradicting his own, right? So he says, I as though take a body. Why? Because of the collective prayers of devotees. See, these are, I think, some of those uh, concepts in the Shastra and the Vedanta that come up where we will have to go with a little bit of the faith and Shraddha. Kuch jaan ke chalo, kuch maan ke chalo. Some things we understand. Some things may seem, oh, but this seems to be like a little difficult to understand. So there is where I think we should use the card of Shraddha. Have this little inquiry. Yes, why not? But move on, because see, that is what is our experience. We see that Krishna has so beautifully given the whole Bhagavad Gita, which makes sense, right? Which is all very right. It is our understanding that yes, we go through all of this pain. Look at the verse 36, 62, 63 of chapter 2. Isn't that what we go through? Dhyayato vishayan saha sangasteshu pajayate. It's our day-to-day experience. When we get angry, when we lose our mind, the whole negative downfall that Krishna has so beautifully explained. That is our experience.
Yeah.
Same way, when you have your mind and senses under control, when you exercise Shama and Dama, you get that inner strength. That is also our experience. So Krishna is down as an avatara. So this avatara vada is something that we will have to go with the faith that he is neither Paramarthika, because if he was Paramarthika, he should not have died. He should not have given up his physical body if he was Paramarthika. Correct? So he does not define, doesn't come under the definition of Paramarthika Satya. But his body is as though we know that we see him, that he was born in a prison. He was he was born to Devaki Vasudeva, or this is what the Puranas tell us. And he's not totally Vyavaharika, because for Vyavaharika, you should have had this, you're born out of karma. As in, the whole cosmos that is created is Ishvara Srishti. So he could not have, so he's wielding his own Maya and he's come into being. Whereas all others in the cosmos are under the influence of Maya. But whereas Ishvara has an influence over Maya. Using his Shakti, he creates.
With our limited logic, we are trying to understand this
I
mystic.
know, we're trying to tease it out, with our. So there are some things which can be explained through logic, and there are some that we will have to just wonder.
That's why God, Gurudev says, God is the biggest magician. When you can make all the planets, it's like that merry-go-round going. What is all? Nothing for him. Anything is possible. That mystical mind, if you have only, you can understand.
That is why somewhere it said, only an enlightened person can understand an enlightened person. It's like day and night. That Yanisha Sarva Bhutana Tasyam Jagarti Samyami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sanisha Pashyato Mune.
Yeah, the wise will only know wise like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So
So
Arjuna
it's
was trying
true,
to
right?
understand
Yeah.
what is a Sthita Prajna. So Krishna has nicely explained to him. But then he ends up saying, hello, listen, only when you become Sthita Prajna.
Wise,
And then
yeah.
when you are a Sthita Prajna, there are no two. For you to understand wise, you are already wise. So basically, even here, for us to understand Krishna as Pratibhasika and neither Paramarthika or Vyavaharika. And that is why it is said, it should be clearly understood that the concept of avatara is not required at all in order to worship Krishna as the Lord.
So, sorry, I kind of missed the half of the class, but I'm just, can you just say a few words what we did?
Yeah. So what we read today was just this.
Empirical reality we were reading yesterday.
We read the relationship amongst the three realities.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that three, that Paramarthika, Vyavaharika, and
Yeah.
Prastibhaka, Prastihas, what is that? Prastibhaka or something?
Pratibhasika.
Bhasika, right. Yeah, that three C's you told, right? Like
Yeah.
Kaya, no, what is it?
Cosmos,
Cosmos,
constant,
Kaya,
cosmos and chaos.
Yeah, constant and chaos.
From that constant comes the cosmos.
Mm.
And in the cosmos, we create our own chaos.
Oh, that is what is Paramarthika, Vyavaharika, and Pratibhasika, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I will
And-
read these last two paras. I think you
And
missed this.
as the name is given to the Vyavaharika empirical, what are the other names given to Paramarthika and in English? What is how it is explained?
Paramarthika is absolute reality.
Absolute reality. And what about Pratibhasika?
Is subjective
The
reality.
subjective reality.
Subjective. Okay, thank you.
Subjective reality, absolute reality, and
Empirical reality.
empirical reality. Empirical reality is, the example is that the sun, we see is sun rises and sets. But the actual truth is that it does not. It is the earth that goes around.
Right.
So the
So
whole
whatever
world is
we
like a magician's
experience,
trick.
that becomes empirical reality, right?
Come again?
Whatever we experience, like whatever we see and observe, whatever we are observing, that becomes the empirical reality.
Um,
No?
the whole universe that is created out of this Panchamahabhutas,
Right.
which is seen and unseen,
Mm. Oh,
which
okay.
is governed by the laws of karma,
Karma. Mm.
that is empirical reality. In that we have jivas, you and I, who
Right.
have a limited mind. And
Mm.
with this limited mind, which
Senses.
is born
Mm.
of its own, the jiva itself is born out of karma with
Mm.
his own samskaras and vasanas and
Mm.
impressions. So with this, we create our own subjective reality. We
Right.
view the world with our own lens.
Mm-hmm.
That is jiva srishti. So let me read this one more time. So 1 second.
Yeah. Ishvara Srishti and
Then we'll go back. Let's get this here. So we got 10 minutes. Okay, an understanding of avatara. There is. We understood this Ishvara Srishti, right? 1 second. We're reading this. All right, we'll go through this verse one more time, verse 6. Ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanamishvaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. So ajaha api san, even though being one who is unborn, avyaya atma san, being one whose knowledge does not wane, bhutanam, of all living beings, ishvaraha api san, also being the Lord, swam, my own, prakritim, the material cause for the creation, adhishtaya, wielding, atma mayaya, by my own creative power, sambhavami, I come into being. So, even though being one who is unborn, one whose knowledge does not wane, and also being the Lord of all living beings, still wielding my own prakriti, I as though come into being by my own creative power. We see from this verse that Krishna's birth is a very peculiar birth indeed. Being one who's never born, he as though comes into being. Also, Krishna describes himself here as one whose power to know does not wane or decline, as Avyayatma, meaning one for whom there is no state of ignorance or delusion. We can also say that being one who is never born, he is not subject to death either. Furthermore, he is the Lord of all beings, the one who made the entire creation for the enjoyment of all, and the one who introduced and wields all the laws and who is therefore not bound by them. He is also the karma phaladata, the giver of the fruits of all actions. Ishvara is the cause for the entire creation, both the subtle world, Sukshma Prapancha, and the physical world, Sthula Prapancha. Maya, Prakriti, which is non-separate from Ishvara, becomes the material cause for this creation. And wielding this Maya, his Shakti, he as though comes into being in the form of this creation. Since Krishna as Ishvara is on one side of Maya and Arjuna was on the other side, Arjuna could not see him as he was. This is like a magician who always keeps the audience in front so that they see only the magic, not the Maya, the trick. And of course, the magician never comes under the spell of his or her own magic. Otherwise, there would be no magician. Because you, a jiva, are within Maya itself, you do not wield it, whereas Ishvara does. Therefore, the difference between the jiva and Ishvara is based solely on which side of Maya they are on. Krishna wields the Maya, because of which the entire world and its beings exist. And being deluded by this Maya, being under its spell, the spell of ignorance, people do not see the Atma, that is Krishna, Ishvara. While the Jiva does not see the Paramatma, Ishvara has no such problem because he has the Maya under his control. Therefore, the world itself, which is born of Maya, is under his control. The idea being conveyed here is that the Jiva does not know his real nature, Swarupa. This not knowing one's Swarupa is called avidya, ignorance. Whereas, as Ishvara, Krishna can say, as he did here, keeping my Maya under my control, I become one who as though has a body. This is the definition of an avatara.
Here, that Jiva doesn't see himself as the Atma Swarupa, right? One thing. And the second thing, even with that avidya, he cannot see Krishna as Ishvara. Like, even though, I mean, he's in the body form, but he's not able to see it because of the avidya. That's what the last two, the previous page, that paragraph you read, right? One sentence it said, the Jiva does not see the Ishvara.
Yeah. Does not see Ishvara.
Yeah,
Similarly, we as jivas are able to see Krishna as Mr. Krishna, not as Ishvara.
Right.
Correct?
But he doesn't have a problem because he have everything under control.
Yeah.
He wields the power of the creation and everything. Sorry, go ahead, Dr. Pramila.
So because we see him as Mr. Krishna with the peacock feather and wearing this pitambara and all that, it is pratibhasika. Now I'm just trying to connect the last few paras that we read today to what we are reading now. So that is unique. That is why Krishna's birth and all the avatars are unique. In the sense, you cannot slot them into Vyavaharika. Neither are they.
But we see him as a name and form. So Vyavaharika, we see him as a body.
But when you read all this, having this knowledge, right? Like say you read the Bhagavatam, and he has done all these things. Without that kind of power, normal man cannot do all these kind of things, right?
Yeah.
So given that part, you can, I mean, at least we worship him as God, and I mean that's a Ishvara. I mean, with this knowledge, that is also right. You initially, when we don't know anything about him, yeah, you see him as like a normal person. But then, given all these activities right from his birth, even before he was even born in that prison, he made everybody faint and have him take him through the Yamuna river and cross the river and go to Gokula, all that happened. Everything happened because of him, even as a baby, the newborn. So,
We'll read this one more time. I know we read this several times again, but till we kind of get a grip on this, we'll read it again.
Sure.
And um,
after the reality, what we read, that's what I was, I had interrupted in the middle, so we went back again. Sorry.
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. So that is Avatara. It is Pratibhasika. So nice. It's a different angle altogether. So
Now we
maybe
can understand a little bit better, right? The subjective reality, why we are so have this problem. That means what we have in our mind, we have to. That is what I wanted to know. What they mentioned anything further about Pratibhasika when you read it?
Yeah, Jiva Srishti this. So Ishvara Srishti is Vyavaharika, all the whole cosmos.
Right.
And Pratibhasika is subjective reality, which is Jiva Srishti. We create our own understanding of the world. We perceive the world with our own lens. No?
Yeah, but when you perceive the world and other people in the right way, it wouldn't bother you. But if you have a wrong impressions, then we get wound up or stressed out ourselves, right?
Correct.
So
That is
how
the
do
whole
we
thing.
come out of this? Like you said about karma yoga and
that is
all
what.
that.
So being in the moment, you are with Ishvara Srishti. Being either in the past or future, you end up in Jiva Srishti. So if you're getting stuck in the past or in the future and not in the present moment, then you are out of sync with Ishvara. So Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti, if they are aligned with each other, there is no stress, there is no sadness, no misery. You're in the
it has
moment.
to be at the same.
Yeah, they should be in sync. Right? So we'll do this again tomorrow. Nice.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.